Hello everybody, it's your boy Ann here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video I'm going to be breaking down sprint speed, movement speed, and answering the question who is actually the fastest descendant inside of this game. So let's get right on into it. The main way you would begin by getting sprint speed is by using one of these three weapons for sprint cores. These weapons would be the Secret Garden, the Python, or the Peacemaker. This is because they can all have 3 yellow cores on them. They'll have 2 on their base weapon and then 1 you can put any on, and you'll just put a 3rd yellow on to grab yourself sprint speed. Now this is going to be people's main way, or these weapons are more so defined as stat sticks just for speed. Now using the arcade tuning tree you can also get yourself a total of 6% sprint speed out of this. Now if we do have a look at what this does actually mean for our descendants, we can figure out the math on this. Now if we literally leave 1 on for 1%, then you can see my sprint speed on my Peacemaker has gone up to 1288, meaning that a single percentage on this skill tree is equivalent to running a single percent on the cores. It is the exact same. So 6% on the cores would mean that you can get away with, at an absolute minimum, running 54% sprint speed on your stat sticks, as long as you use the arcade tuning tree to compensate for the losses. So that is the first main way to get yourself up. Now assuming you've already got this, your sprint speed will be very much at max permanently. This is something you are going to want to make sure to take advantage of, because this is also going to be a very big thing. So that's max sprint speed out of the way already off the bat. Now let's talk about additional movement speed. For additional movement speed there is 3 extra ways. Number 1 being the Adrenaline Rush inversion. If you were to take off one of your inversions, you can run Adrenaline Rush. This is going to give you plus 16% movement speed, which is going to be a very nice kick. Now along with the Python or the Secret Garden, you can use the module called Brisk Walk on here, which is going to give you an additional 24% movement speed. What this is in total is a total of 40 movement speed. Now you can push this even further using external components called the sprinting set that has just been released along with the Serena update. You can push your sprinting speed by another 10%, which means a permanent, well not permanent, but a on and off up to 50% movement buff. With the Descendants, 10% is permanent, or around about 10% is permanent. Then Adrenaline Rush and Brisk Walk will keep flicking on and off to give you even more speed. Now you can manipulate Brisk Walk to turning on and off. If you have a second stat stick, you can just switch to your other stat stick when you want to activate Brisk Walk, and then you can use it at will. That is what I do. My main stat stick is the Peacemaker, my secondary stat stick is the Python. So that is my main way. When you do have a look at all of these things combined, let me run it back and show you what the sprint speed is and the movement speed, because now we're talking about movement speed. Now first off, right off the bat, I do want to say that for Innate, the main stat stick is the Secret Garden, and as you can see here, the Secret Garden, or holding the Secret Garden, will give you a total of 576 movement speed. When you are holding the Peacemaker, the stat stick I use is Bunny, you are already 100 movement speed ahead, just because this weapon is better and it's lighter. Weapon weight is all a base, but movement speed with holding different weapons is definitely different for sure. And the Peacemaker, being the better one, is obviously going to put Bunny at a 100 movement speed advantage. But that advantage won't stay for long. Let's talk about it. Now if we were to run everything together with Bunny, let's see what the absolute max we can run is. So with Bunny, once we do get this all kicking, this is what happens. We just use our second ability, hold the Python, and just let an enemy get hit with our third. And as you can see, with the Python we are at 940, but with the Peacemaker 987 movement speed, which has just gone down, but almost 1000 movement speed with Bunny with the permanent 1300 cap. This is what I truly think is Bunny's max in terms of her movement speed. So let's see what happens if we run the exact same thing, however this time we run it with Innate. So we're holding the Secret Garden and we are proccing all the buffs. And there you go, we've got the buff out of her 4th ability, and as you can see, 972 movement speed on the Secret Garden, but over 1134, or around about 1000 if you give it a day, and then it goes all the way down, back down to 700 with the Peacemaker. So Inés clearly has superior movement speed, and this is because of her 4th ability. Her 4th ability gives you a 50% movement speed buff, as well as a sprint speed buff. Why it does both buffs, I have no clue, but Inés's 4th ability will give you both buffs is something that is worthy of noting. Anyways, let's see how far you can grapple with these Descendants. Now, this is the second time I'm running the grapple stuff with Inés, so let's see how far she goes here, and then let's see how far I can make it with Bunny. Now, let's go with this. We're still using the Secret Garden, so our movement speed is about the same. So there you go, we just double jump, do our grapple, flick, jump, and then jump, and we consistently make it to about 2 blocks away from the end. That is fairly solid. Just before that, real quick, I just did a few more runs with Inés, and this was the best run I could gather out of all of the grapple run hook things that I tried. So it was this one right here. I did that, double jump, and then just go all the way in, 1, 2, and we made it 1.5 blocks, so almost 2 entire blocks, which I think is solid, and we almost made it to the end with Inés. So I'm gonna call that a solid success for now. Just so you know, my testing is all done in the most fair conditions. I'm just flicking through the Descendants so that I'm not ending up changing any of the stuff on the arcade tree, the preset, external components, so on and so forth. Anyways, let's use Bunny 2nd and her 3rd to proc the movement buffs. There you go. Right, let's do our jump, and then our jump, grapple, jump, and jump, and as you can see, Bunny's made it a whole block further than Inés. What this means is that Bunny's 2nd ability scales movement better than Inés does. Despite Inés on paper having more than 100 plus movement speed, Bunny still managed to fly further in a grapple test because of her 2nd ability, which is honestly absolutely insane. So now let's put this into practicality. Let's run some 400% as a test, something that Bunny and Inés should both be expert Descendants in, right? So we are only running from the beginning of the dungeon all the way until the boss room. The reason we are doing this is because you're not going to attack the boss with movement speed. It's not really going to make much of a difference. Now, the only difference between these Descendants is that I'm obviously running different mods for Bunny versus I am for Inés. Apart from that, they are both using the exact same skill tree that I'm going to put on screen right now, and then I am going to put my Bunny's skill modules on screen right now as well. So these are the mods that I was running on Bunny, and this is just me playing Bunny because, you know, I'm optimal Bunny player for sure. But this is my run with Bunny, and as you can see, we are making absolutely excellent time. Our time is like actually kicking. It's fucking great. So you can see that using the movement set, switching to our stat stick weapon, and then switching back to our Peacemaker is genuinely such a recipe for success. And you can see that even in this big room where Inés is 1,000,000% gonna shine and just rip through everything fast, you can see even Bunny is capable of just fucking ripping everything apart in this room. It is truly great. Like I say, Bunny has truly become the Descendant that does everything better than Inés now, and it's also put me in a little bit of a predicament about Inés. So you can see here I ran out of MP, so I wasn't full sprinting, but 1 minute 30 seconds 0.49 I believe my time was. So you know, we got off to a fairly strong time. Let's pop our 4th ability with Inés and just let them absolutely all die to it. Beautiful. Take care of the last ones, simple as it gets. Now, I will put my Inés's modules on screen right now. So these are my Inés modules, there you go. That's the build I'm using. And then the tree I was using is the exact same tree as Bunny's. So plenty of damage on Inés, same maxed out movement and everything. It's just that Inés is just slower than Bunny. That's just the general truth. There's no other way to put it. I've proven that you can out grapple Bunny can out grapple Inés, and Bunny can outspeed Inés in dungeons. Because if we look at our time, Bunny was further ahead than Inés was in this specific run and this specific instance. Now, I do actually want to talk about Inés, because now that Inés has actually truly been outshined in terms of DPS, who is actually better? I would straight up say it's Bunny. Now hear me out before you be like, wow, this man's going on his bunny tangent again. But actually, hear me out. So, my first biggest issue is the fact that Ines does need mobs. And she cannot live without mobs. Even if we were to take sprint cores and leave them on the weapon and get rid of all the extra movement buffs, Bunny still has a second ability to go absolutely fast, whilst Ines has absolutely nothing. If there's no mobs and just a Descendant on their own, Ines is going to be lacking more than Bunny is. As well as that, Bunny overall scales better, she does more damage, and she can run away with all the mobs before Ines gets a chance. If Ines's first ability does get nerfed and stops going through the wall, it's actually going to be so far over for Ines, it's not even going to be a joke anymore. And as you can see here, I got to the final boss room with 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock. So again, in this instance, my Bunny outplayed my Ines by 20 seconds. I'm not a perfect Ines player, so please do cut me some slack. I know there's probably places where I could have cut down on time or stuff like that, but just generally, Bunny is the faster option, and if I haven't proven that to you in this video, I don't think I have anything in me to prove it yet again. Bunny is the better option in every scenario now, and despite Ines on paper being faster than Bunny, Bunny is still superior in the actual dungeons, and that is where it matters. But anyways guys, that's been this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing. Make plenty of videos on the first Descendant, all of that, yada yada yada, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.